replace the gi, but they don't help you control. Okay? So, like, if I just came in and I grabbed a hold of Mike's t-shirt, I mean, I can rip this thing all over the place, and I'm not holding Mike down with it. Okay, so we have to kind of get that out of our mind. With the gi being a tool, the gis are fantastic, but you know, I don't want to have to replace a t-shirt every single time I train. So reality is, you know, but then, you know, the gi basically represents more of like a jacket. You know, the zipper is the strongest part of each jacket. But t-shirts, first time I ever tapped out a higher ranking individual in competition was with a t-shirt. Okay? Because back in the day, the rash guards weren't a thing yet. So, and the term no-gi didn't even exist. So all these people are like, oh, no, you know, the term no-gi didn't even exist. It was called gi-less or gi-optional. Back in the day, this still might be the case. ADCC was a gi optional tournament, not a no-gi tournament. Most people just chose not to wear a gi, but you could wear one if you wanted. And some guys in the early days did. So ultimately speaking, with the t-shirt, it is unique simply because it goes 360 around your neck. That's what makes it unique. Whereas the gi is just the horseshoe that comes down. So ultimately speaking, t-shirts choke incredibly well. So that first tournament I went into, the rules stated you could go, you know, which in our case, when we went gi less, you literally just took your top off. So you were bare chest and you left your gi pants on. Now, we were a little bit more ready for it, so I actually had compression shorts on underneath before all the stuff that comes out now. So I would just go with compression shorts and no top and go through here. But the rule said a loose fitted shirt was considered a gi, and you could be used in the match. If they wore a gi top, it was able to be used, and if they wore a loose fitted shirt, that was considered to be a gi and functional in match. Or if it was a skin tight shirt, because we weren't even using rash guards yet, a skin tight shirt was off limits. Okay. So dude comes out wearing a t-shirt like Mike. I come out, I look at the ref, I go, legal? He goes, yep. So as soon as we came out, we slap, we bump, we come in, we make our connection. My hand goes to the back of his t-shirt, okay? And then through here, you know, I started feeding. Okay? We come across, and I start going into cross collar choke while we're standing. My shirt's already ripping. Yeah. But here's the part though that I always remind people. So this was already compromised through here. You can already see that the collar itself was already having issues. That's usually the part that never tears. But I take this t-shirt, I wrapped it around his neck, tapped him out while standing, and then he complained to the ref, and the ref goes, you wore it. And so ultimately, that's my first experience using t-shirts as part of the game. So what we're gonna start off with is we're gonna use one technique, two different ways. So we're gonna go half guard in through here. My hands are gonna be framed up because I don't want Mike to be able to push into me or hit me or something of that nature. I'm gonna grab his collar here, okay? And I'm gonna push it across his chest so that from here it's connected to this shoulder so that I'm pushing it across. So if Mike starts pushing into me, okay, the t-shirt's gonna kind of help me a little bit, okay? Now, we were just working on the other day doing the J-point camping. So if I'm here and Mike decides to try to J-point camp on me, okay, he just stuffed his head in the hole and I just put his t-shirt around his neck, okay? So at this point in time, he's in a choking position, even though he tried to do the J-point camp. So now through here, I'm gonna take the t-shirt, I'm gonna pinch my forearm onto the back of his neck, okay? And then I'm going to start arcing my hips and pulling Mike towards that side, okay? So through here, we're either gonna tap him or potentially speaking, he's gonna start to sweep, okay? And then we can get up keep our choke, or we tap him where he sits. So if I've got him here, I push that across. If he drops his head, okay, he just sunk it. At this point, like I said, it's now in his throat. My elbow's on the back of his head, so if he starts trying to pull out, okay, I don't want that to be very possible. Okay. Other things we can start to do through here is if we have the opportunity, okay, is I can shoot this leg through, come in like I'm going to go butterfly. My choke's already in play. Butterfly sweeping with the choke in play, and now the t-shirt is doing its job. Make sense? All right, let's try. Loop around the neck, both from a top position and from
Alexa,
a bottom
pause.
position. Again, one of the things I like. Let's go guard. So Mike's in my guard. Oh no! I break him down. Oh no! And I'm just pinning him, trying to hold him down. Okay. So through here, once I've got him, the beauty of the t-shirt is the fact that the collar's 360. So as I'm holding him down here, I can start to put my thumb inside, okay? And now what I can do through here is I pass my hands behind his back, so I'm feeding this hand now a lot deeper, okay? And again, because it's 360, the deeper this gets, I can start to put more tension into Mike's neck. So now as I'm holding him here, this one, so I fed it deep here. Now this one looks for the lapel on this side, okay? And then we start to pull, and it's taking the front while doing basically a reverse cross collar. I'm taking the back of his t-shirt, crossing it over, and then pulling so that it's taking his t-shirt and pulling it up into his neck, right? So again, if I come in and I break him down, okay, this takes out the slack. It literally just pulled the front up into his throat. So as I'm here, up, I cinch in the one, and again through here, we're just gonna cinch into the other side. Now, we're gonna pull them opposite of each other. This is the primary, okay, because this is the one that's going to do most of the work. And this other side is just a reinforcement to be able to choke him. Or, same thing, once I feed the one side nice and deep, okay, it also becomes the foundation of some of my sweeps as I'm coming in. I'm going to loop Mike here. My arm is connected to the underside of his arm. So one of the things I want to do is start reaching for the floor, okay? So if I shrimp and I lift that elbow, you see how through here, Mike's arm becomes up in the air, and I'm cinching in on the side of his neck. So now, when we start looking for our sweep, I've got his neck compromised at the same time. And this is pretty much only possible because the t-shirt is 360.
Yeah.
All right, so this one does take a little bit. So if I can break Mike down, okay, and I get him in position again, okay, I got my guard or whatever. So now we start to collect the shirt. Pull it up, okay? I'm sweaty. I want the collar connected here. So I can bring it up. This gives me a little bit of control, and this shirt's not gonna tear. Not even a little bit, okay? So once I bring it up and I get it in, I slip my hand inside, okay? So this one is coming from the underside of his shirt, and then through here I hold on to my own wrist, okay? Now in a lot of cases, guys are trying to sit up, they're trying to escape, they're trying to find their way out. This is gonna become a modified Ezekiel choke. So what's gonna happen through here is as Mike is trying to sit up, okay? I'm going to take this hand and I'm going to feed it to the front of his neck. And I'm still holding on to the back, okay? And I'm going to feed my hand across. My hand is going through this loop, okay? And it's feeding in. And you notice through here, this is connected to this behind him. I can hold this almost indefinitely and just press. Look at Mike, he's turning purple, okay? And then I'm going to connect it to the other side. So again, as I'm in, collect, get that open, and I put my hand inside and hold. Okay? So now through here, if I'm holding him down, he's going to be trying to find his way out. Boom, boom, boom. I hold, connect, hold, connect, hold, connect. Now through here, I release, put my hand in front. Now watch literally how easy this becomes. Okay? Because my arm is connected to the t-shirt's connected to his back, my arm is connected to the front. Just my hand position alone is creating both sides. Okay? If I can use this hand, it becomes even better because it gives me another focal point I can grab onto. Then this one can continue to pull in, but you can see just with the one hand, I'm capable of finishing the choke just from here, just almost by shoving him away. Okay? So, let me do it so I can see. So if I'm coming in and I break it down, I'm going to pull the shirt up, okay, and I'm going to gather it. From here, put my hand inside. Now again, this one's holding on to the bottom here, this one's looped in, and I just hold. So now, as he starts trying to sit up, he's creating the space. So when I let go, my hand goes to the front. It's super tight. Okay? This one's going to pull down. This one's act like you're going to reach up and almost see if you can grab onto that collar. Okay? If you can, now I can literally hold onto it with one hand, and then I could be doing stuff with the other. But I mean, it's tight. It's a lot of pressure. So I feed, bunch it up, look, rotate my hand inside, and then as he sits up, bring it to the front, and again, pull, push, and there's your modified disease. Again, if we're playing through here, I'm going to look to bring Mike down. This becomes a great control point. Okay, I'm going to look to control this entrance. Okay, and through here, I'm going to put my hand inside. Okay? So again, this is now palm in, and I'm literally with my fingers, I'm going almost as deep as I can to gather as much material as I can so I can hold. When Mike's trying to pick his head up, okay, and the like, I'm going to make it difficult for him. Obviously, I don't want him to come up, but then when the time comes, I'm going to shift so that I can have a good grip on this side. Okay? So now this is where I like the variation that we do in the gi. I'm holding on through here. I'm going to throw and go into my beat hook. No self-respecting grappler likes their back taken, so you can almost anticipate Mike's going to sit up, and then I'm going to go for the opposite side and go for my cross collar. It doesn't matter what I connect to. Okay? Just don't connect to what's on the chest. Connect, like even if I were to come in, okay, I've got this one in, okay, we're here, Mike goes across, okay, so he's trying to free himself up. Even literally, even if I just went here, okay, I can still pressure enough, okay. If I go here, again, just grip and get onto whatever you can, okay. The way I like to throw it is I get Mike over here, I've exposed his back. When Mike starts trying to square back up into me, my elbow is going to go across his face. When I was first taught in Taekwondo 30, 40 years ago, they always taught, chin to your chest. It's one of the best defenses to not be choked. Put your chin down, okay? Chin to chest, it works, okay? So I come in, I go elbow first. There goes his chin right over my wrist. And he's now in my choke. All I have to do now is come in, make any connection, and make my finish. So I like to slide my elbow right down his face. It lifts his chin, puts it right on top of my wrist, and now the classic defense of just putting your chin down doesn't really have the effect that it used to. Okay? It's essentially the same technique, just now being done from this position. So when we did it from half guard, we took the lapel here, pushed it across the throat, and then looped our arm to go behind the head. Okay? That's all I'm going to do through here. Most techniques in Jiu Jitsu, it's the same move, just being done in different positions. Each position represents a slightly different issue we've got to get over, okay? But it's the same technique. Okay? So in a lot of cases, you can take one technique and throw 10 different variations, but it's still just one technique. Okay? So I'm in. I'm going to put my hand into Mike's shirt. Okay? Over here on the side, I like to aim a little bit towards the ear. So if I'm in, I'm going to come in and I'm going to make a fist and grab that collar. Okay? Now, it works out pretty good if Mike tries to shrimp into me a little bit as he's pushing in, right here, I take my forearm and I throw it across his body, and then I sink my elbow. We're going to keep our underhook, and then crunch his head, almost like I'm trying to put my arm under his neck. It hardly ever makes it though, because the ground gets in the way and I'm pushing down on the lapel to get in there. But I grab the lapel through here, okay? I throw it, drop my elbow, okay? And then crunch the head with my elbow and keep pulling the t-shirt to the ground.